The latest that we are gathering is that there is a direct attack, or at least there is an attempted attack in Israel. Alarm sirens are sounding in Jerusalem and surrounding areas due to missile launches from Iran. If I could just give you a sense of where exactly this is transpiring. This is Jerusalem. This is where those sirens are currently being sounded. This was Amman in Jordan, where just a short while ago we were seeing sirens. We were hearing sirens being sounded there as well. This is where Iran seems to be targeting at the moment. Jerusalem is where we are hearing those sirens. Amman was just about 20 minutes ago or so. That's the area largely where Iran seems to be targeting its missile strikes at the moment. But that's not to say that that is the only place where targeted strikes are happening, Griha, because we're also learning of information that's trickling in from Qatar now.
Absolutely, and this is what we are in fact looking at. Another piece of breaking news that we'd like to put out. Qatar in fact has gone on to say that it has thwarted all attacks at the airports there. Iran's army says that its forces have launched attacks on Israel and a US military base in Qatar as the war is raging on for a fourth straight day. But Qatar there going on to mention that it has thwarted all attacks. In fact, Poonam there with the map, so she'd be able to place Qatar there so that you exactly understand the kind of dynamics and the heft that we are seeing at play here. Iran constantly going ahead and claiming that it's pounding these areas, but Poonam, Qatar now playing a very,
so like I was
defiant
pointing
stance.
out, these were the two areas initially where we saw the attacks, which was in Israel and in Jordan, which was in Jerusalem and in Amman. But like I said, it's not limited to that particular area or that particular region. This is where we're seeing some strikes as well. We've seen certain attacks in Qatar. We're hearing of some sirens that are being sounded there. Qatar has come out and said that they've thwarted these attacks. We've seen certain ports in Oman that had also seen certain strikes. There were parts of Riyadh yesterday where we had seen some of these debris actually falling. There was the US Embassy in Riyadh that was also a target of these particular strikes. So this entire region, in fact, Bahrain was not left untouched either. That's somewhere that we also did see some sort of debris falling, some sirens that were sounded yesterday as well. So this entire region, if you see, the UAE as well, these parts of the region of the Gulf, they have been touched as well as far as these Iranian attacks go. It's not just Israel that is a direct target of Iran, but Iran has made it clear that any of these countries that seem to even look like they're on Israel's side, they will have to bear the brunt as well.
Absolutely, and Poonam, we are back on the entire fog of war logic, because once again, Qatar saying they have thwarted any kind of attack that's coming from Iran. Iran, on the other hand, is saying that they have gone on to attack the US base in Qatar, and that's another. We know how big is the US base in Qatar. There was an attack earlier as well after the 3 nuclear facilities were pounded by US and Israel the last time around, and that's when the retaliatory strike happened at the US airbase in Qatar. But now again, counter narratives that are in fact coming into play here by both Qatar and Iran. In fact, we are also now learning about various explosions that have been heard in UAE, Bahrain and Jordan, as Iran, we are told, is deploying drone swarms. So the swarm of drones that we are in fact looking at in these areas, UAE, Bahrain, Jordan, all of these places where there are explosions that are being heard. So constant escalation that one is learning of as far as these regions go, even as the narratives, at least official ones that are emerging from all of these areas, really say otherwise. Poonam.
And the risk that Iran is running at the moment is that if all of these countries, if the Gulf coalition actually comes together with the United States and its military support, Tehran will not have too much to go on. They do not have the economic strength to balance it. At the moment, they may seem like they do have the military heft, at least if you keep the United States out of this region, which is exactly what it's trying to bank upon, or so it would seem. But Rahul, as far as the long game is concerned, can Iran actually afford to stretch this out if the United States and if this entire Gulf coalition comes together?
See, it's a cat and mouse game. What the US and the Israelis are trying to do is to degrade very quickly the command and control structures in Iran. The hope is that the Iranians then cannot control any of their launchers, they cannot control any of their operation headquarters in different districts, different parts of Iran, and there is a breakdown. And then everyone is sort of acting independently of each other, and there's confusion, there's no coordination. Now, on the other side, the Iranians are trying to break the resolve of the Americans' allies, because it's here where the bases are. These are the front lines from where the action is taking place. So Iran then sends these drones across, engages some of these defenses, some of these pass through the cracks, and there are obviously signs of damage, and there is debris falling and so on and so forth, and people are spooked, and there is a complete shutdown of the airspace, markets, workplaces, everyone goes into a sort of shell shock. The idea being that you sweat these countries out. Now, it's very interesting because Qatar's foreign ministry spokesperson has come out to say, claim that pressuring Gulf countries would lead to a return to negotiation this force. So they're saying that this battle of attrition that Iran is waging is not going to work on us. We're very firmly with the Americans. The point is, at what stage in this conflict will these countries begin to say that this cost of supporting Trump is bleeding us economically? It's no longer viable. If the Iranians can hang in there, then they will be able to make the time frame stretched long enough for these countries to feel the pain. If they can't, if they fold up, this plan goes into cold storage. So that's really what's happening. It's a cat and mouse game, as I told you.
And it's really who will blink first, or at least that's what they're waiting to see. But do stay on with us, Rahul. We are getting more information that's now coming in. And this is what Iran is now claiming, that the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is the IRGC, they are claiming that they know locations of Netanyahu's meetings. They are going on to warn that they would unleash more intense attacks on the United States and Israel together, because this war is now entering day 4. They are now threatening that it's Netanyahu's life that is at risk. You targeted our supreme leader. Your head of state is also going to be at risk, and the next target, Iran says, is going to be Netanyahu. They're also claiming that they have heard of his movements, or they've heard of his meetings, and he will be attacked based on that intelligence. How true really is that, Griha? Well, that's anyone's guess, because like I said, it is also a psyop sort of a situation that is going on. Tehran would want to project an image of being strong, of being able to retaliate. Whether they can actually track Netanyahu's movements and target him, that's something only time will tell.
Absolutely. And Poonam, let's go back to the news that we broke early in the morning, where we learnt of how Ali Khamenei was eliminated. It was about traffic cameras and AI usage by Israel, the data that was with them for years on end. They used that to track the, in fact, movement. And now we are seeing a counter narrative pretty much on similar lines that is coming in from, in fact, Iran.